Hello. This is my retopology on my sclera for my latest character. Firstly, as you can see, I've done my retopology in Blender and I've just saved it as an FBX and brought it back into Zbrush, where I'm now moving it into place, making sure it's the right size over the iris. As you can see here, I've just gone into the move and I'm moving the toggle forward, just making sure it's covered, and I resize it slightly. But my retopology, the lowest form, and positioning. But you'll see I come into a complication. In the retopology, I've got gaps, and you'll see in a few moments what's occurring. This happened a few times, it may help someone else, just to ensure that you don't make the same mistake as I've done, because it is time consuming and it's a bit frustrating when you're doing all this and you're moving it and you're positioning it, and then you go to divide into a higher subdivision and it's not complete. So here you can see I've just put the face back on. The full character I've already done the retopology for, adding some textural tones now and some details. This is my human carbon entity. It's going to have as you can see on the left hand side of the face, it kind of shows the muscle structures, but that's going to be carbon, and it's going to have a casing over that. He also has one on his shoulder and his chest, where it shows he's like not necessarily human, but a organic carbon half humanoid machine slash. So I'm looking forward to getting this character into animation and moving him, but right now I'm going through the challenging parts of doing the retopology at the lowest form and then bringing it back. Then I can get into texture. So as you see, I've then duplicated, and I didn't do mirror and weld. I did duplicate and then move across, because I like to keep my eyes separate. I like to keep them a left eye and right eye, and then I have UVs for both. I've already done the UVs in Blender. I just put it through the middle, and you can see it's the first time I've actually put myself on camera as well. I'm not used to being on camera on the right hand side. Not exactly comfortable, but I guess I'm going to start maybe doing it a little bit more. So here, this is where I duplicate and move it over, and each part now I've got the upper and lower teeth have been done with retopology, and now the irises are done, the main body is done, so a lot of the hard work is done. It's just now the casings, but I'm getting close to being able to texture this character, which is really pleasing. The technical challenges that sometimes can be quite laborious, but worthwhile when you actually get it into animation. I've also got a tongue there as well. I've added a tongue, and here just moving it into space, but you'll see what's happening. You can see the amount of time I've already spent doing this and moving it, and then to realize my topology was not connected was pretty frustrating. So when I went into Blender, I did a mirror and weld, sorry, not a mirror and weld, sorry, a mirror, and as I connected the two, it didn't join them in the middle. So you'll see what happens. I mean, I'm sure there's better ways. I mean, it takes longer, but it's a little bit frustrating. But these things happen and mistakes occur, but it's navigating and getting through. So here, I'm just starting to think, right, this is awesome. I've got everything. It's in place. But then, just checking through, got the iris, it's all in the right place. Both of them are looking good. Soon I'll rename them, thinking I'm on track. It's funny looking at myself, looking head down, working away, trying to sort things out, renaming it, right and left scleras, so it's all easy to distinguish. Save it, it's all, the topology is done, the UVs are done, I'm able to texture soon. But And this is at the lowest form. I haven't subdivided yet. What I should have done is I should have subdivided immediately as soon as I got it in, and I could have seen the errors, but I didn't. So always divide as you get your new situation occurring. Again, just typing everything out. Okay, I think this is where I'm about to divide. Yeah, now I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going even further into it. I do a reflective map material, and then this is where I'm going to make it translucent. So I then go into material, go into brush, I believe, and it's fill object. And so now I go over back into colour, it's colour, sorry, into colour, and then down to fill object, and I fill the two, so then they're both now filled with texture paint. I then turn back to bin, which I like the sculpture. Now you can see my eyes are different. And then I head down to display properties. Actually, I think I might actually find out that I've made a mistake here, which is pretty frustrating. But I'm pleased with the character. It's really coming on, and I'll show you in a moment. My divide, I think I'm just about to divide, but I've done all this, as you can see. I've changed the material, I've got everything going, and then this is where I notice trying to decide what to do there, and this is where I do it. Go down into geometry, come on, yeah, here we go. So down to geometry, and then of course up to divide for the geometry, and look, there we go, see the line, the mesh is split. So this is where it's like, oh, all that work, and the mesh isn't even connected. Now I could do it in Zbrush. I could go to the Retopology brush and do it there, but I am going to be going back into Blender to animate, so I want to keep the base topology in Blender. So this is where I've deleted everything now, back into Blender. Here I am in Blender, and here you'll see object. I'll go into edit mode and zoom in, and here you'll see start to move. Oh, there we go. That's why, because the mesh had done duplicate and not join them. So delete each section.
I'm off, John. See you.
Delete each section and go through what needs to be done. Again, a mistake that could be avoided, but make them. I hope someone learns from this. Check your mesh before you go in to make extra work for yourself. But again, mistakes happen. Learn from mistakes. But I will definitely learn from this one. So each section deleted now, because it's separated and not a complete mesh. I mean, I was pretty quick at the response, but that one is connected. But now I'm going to have to do that one as well. So I just go up to the column, go into edge, delete vertices. We're just going right the way around, making sure that the mesh isn't connected or not connected. As you can see, it's not. Now I've got to tap back into the pointer, delete. Delete. This has been a labour of love so far with my animation. I've actually, to be honest, I'm going through a very difficult time, and unsure of the development of it and how it's going to go. Back after difficulties, I lost my business, I lost the situation, I lost the ability, I lost respect from parts of my situation at home. It's then led to me in a very bad situation now where I don't feel I have much prospects, but I really believe that learning this and doing this helps save me from even worse cascading situations. Learning this animation and learning to do these things via Zbrush, Blender and Substance Painter has been absolutely incredible. I could almost say at one point it's probably saved my life. So the fascination with it and learning from it, each section has been brilliant. I just hope that someone can learn from the mistakes that I'm making and see that the difficulties with each part of mesh and retopology is it's important to check on everything and go through things systematically. Yeah, just fixing it now, so I feel like I've succeeded a bit in a small way. But it's been interesting doing this, and I thought I'd put this video out there thinking, well, the other videos have been showing my animation, but this is showing the production side, and maybe there'll be interest, maybe there won't. I guess I'll find out. That's what's so fascinating. Some videos I've put out there and thought would be absolutely incredible, and I've spent a long time doing the actual animation and they don't get hardly any views, and then a video that I do showing what I'm actually doing does really well. But at the same time, it's been a pretty difficult few years for me, and this has certainly been a saving grace, and I've learned a tremendous amount. I've had some brilliant tutorials online, listened to some absolutely outstanding individuals from the industry, and it's just been enthralling. So here we're just going back into the UVs here. You can see there's my UV chart on the left. I just have to redo the UV, and then first of all the UV didn't look as good as I thought, so it actually was good that I've gone back, made the mistake, because I improved my UV as well. And just select all, putting it all back together. So my sclera, my retopologized sclera is looking fairly low poly and ready to be moved back into Zbrush and textured now. Just making sure each section is whole, there's no gaps like I found out, and then I can move forward into the next section, which is tongue tooth retopology, and I've got to do the meshes, the translucent meshes that cover the carbon undersections that look like facial muscles or shoulder muscles. But I think I'm going to make those carbon parts like perhaps black with a fluorescent blue, and it'll emit a light, and then the casing underneath the casing. So I'm quite keen to see how that looks when I get it back into do the animation and texture it, and putting all that together is going to be really interesting. Of course I want to be doing animating as well, but there's a lot of undertaking to do and a lot of things to do. It's completely enthralling now, like I said before. Okay, here I am. Now, retopology, hopefully this time, is complete. There's the face mesh that I'm going to have to do the retopology for, but you can see my topology is a lot more lower poly than the other one. I'm just going to go back into UVs and redo the UV here. Now that doesn't work, so just going to make sure everything's selected. Yeah, all the seams are done. Yeah, I did a seam right through the middle. Go up to UV, minimum stretch, and nice 2 circles in the blue which show minimal stretch, and they'll be good for texturing. I'm just going to move it now, and then I'll just increase the size as well to optimize on the square itself. So just press L here and then A to select all, and then just scale, S to scale, move into place, just rotate it a little bit, and good position there, a little bit more larger. The larger it is on the square, the better my texture will be. Then we'll do it in 4K. So now I'm going to export as an FBX. I was playing around with Gobi and things, but I found Gobi challenging at times with scale. And you had to readjust scale quite often. So I'm starting to do export as FBXs. Made sure the box is selected, because when I first started doing FBX as well, it'd transfer all the files, which caused me mass complications. So I learned to find the selection box to select only objects highlighted or indicated. So here, just open up, back into Zbrush, open up the file, seem to be hesitating here, pausing, I wonder why. There we go. Import selected. That's fast. So here I've got it, and then at first it's confused me in ZBrush. I'm like, how do I now, why isn't it with the others? Why isn't it with the others? Well, it's because it's selected a single tool. You then go down into divide. I'm just checking it works this time, which I should have done before. Yep, everything's good. It's in the right position. Good. It's not separating. That's what I should have done the first time. Hopefully someone learns from that. So here's my character, as you can see, that's where the mesh sections are. Zoom in, that's the base. Done retopology, teeth there, and I'm just going to move it for the eye here. Zoom in. Character's in an A-frame, as you notice, so I can animate well. And now I just go into, it was select, append, went into append, and then select the new retopologize scalera, and now just press select it, and now it's in the file with the others. So now it's a case of moving it into place. So here I sometimes get a bit frustrated with navigation and moving it, so just unlock the arrow, the safety lock or the padlock, move it into space, move my toggle, moving it so it's centralized. Once I've got it in position, I'll just relock the padlock. Here you can see I'm just going to rotate it slightly as well. So relock the padlock, and then I'll be able to move the object. If the padlock is unlocked, you then can't move the object. All these things can lead to confusion at first when you're in ZBrush and Blender. Takes time and learning, which still have vast amounts to do, but I'm now starting to navigate both softwares quite smoothly and operate between the two, which is nice. When you transfer and navigating, it can be quite frustrating at times, but now I'm starting to get somewhere where it feels like I know how to get around certain tasks and requirements. So here, as you can see, it's slightly too big. There I've turned on the paintbrush, which is adding a paint, and it kind of confused me at first because that's very easily done by mistake. I did my mistake and I thought I'd done the topology, but now I'm like, oh, why have I done that? So I won't realise immediately. I'll turn it on, but you can see next to the eye there, the brush is on. So it's added a paint texture to the character. It can be confusing. You can change the material sometimes, and it can change the colour. So here I'm just making sure I put transparency on, and this is when I'm going to start to move the position of the scalera around the iris and make sure it's the right size. Now I'm going to go into scale, and I'm going to scale it down. As you can see, just moving it. Transparency mode is really good, especially when you're doing scaleras and irises together. You can really see the inside and if it's even and what size it is, so just moving it. So it sits correctly. Once I've done that, I'll then, instead of doing mirror and weld, because it'll be one piece, I'll then duplicate and move across so that I have two separate scleras and two separate irises, which will both have UVs. So, just fiddling around here, getting it in the right position. There we go, I think it's just about there. I'll just check on that, that's my iris. You can see now from the transparency, you can see where it sits perfectly. So you can see just the outer rim, it's nice, this really nice transparency. You can see how the sclera does sit above the iris in a real human eye. Just slightly off, so I'm going to adjust it again. You can see on one side quite a lot of room, so I'm going to make it a bit smaller here. Oh, that. No. There's still a bit too much room on the left. There we go. It's looking pretty good there. Oh, it's off. Again with the transparency, excellent. You can see where it's going to be showing through. I don't want that. I want it in the right position completely. And that's going to work now. The front here on the left you can see. So just again, slight adjustment. That's it. Oh no. Not quite. There. No, still not right. Little adjustments. Hopefully I'll get there soon. Okay. It's looking pretty good there. Turn off solo. Or transparency. Now I can hit divide. Or duplicate. I think I'll do the duplicate first. This is where I realise it. So I go into the colour thinking it's the colour, but then I realise it's the brush. As soon as I click the brush off, he goes back to normal and he's in bin. So look out for that. Sometimes you can just unaware, not aware that you're clicking on the brush icon in the subtool and it can change. And you, what's happened? How did I do that? I immediately go to the left and look at colour. But again, it's all things to look out for. There's a lot to deal with when you're working in both Zbrush and Blender. There's many menus and many situations. And at first it can be really quite overwhelming. But if you keep at it and navigating through it, it can be the most wondrous thing because you can create worlds, characters. You know, here I am putting a sclera on an iris for a character and it's just been absolutely amazing. Shaping it, developing it, doing the retopology, making sure it's optimized for animation at the lowest form, at the lowest poly count. I halved the poly count last time on what the ZBrush had done, so I was pleased with that. ZBrush is good, it works in some aspects, but I did listen to quite a few people in the industry, and Retopology, organic Retopology, especially for nice fluid movement, is really important. I'm still doing it completely manually as well. I'm not using the apps as of yet because I like to try and optimize as best I can, especially when you're dealing in animation and Blender. You want to try and optimize at the least level so your computer can handle what's occurring. If you don't optimize and you leave it and you do it the quick way, sometimes optimization is not possible and it leads to further and further problems. So I found that optimizing manually and really trying to attain it with thought and brainstorming and moving through Retopology has created it so I can move things really nicely at a high level. I'm just renaming here right and left scalera. Wow, I'm almost running out of things to say. You can tell I'm not used to doing this, but why not try it? You might pick up something from it. I know I've picked up an awful lot from just navigating through each software and playing and listening to tutorials and doing things, and if I can help someone else, it might be good, because I know I've obtained a lot of help from these types of YouTube videos, watching someone navigating between softwares and moving. Hopefully I can do the same for someone else. I might not, it might be chaotic, but I know my mistakes are there and and how I correct them and how I move through it. I know a lot of people, I know I've made tremendous amount of mistakes, and it led to mind melts that were just unbearable at times, but I navigated through them probably the longest and the slowest way possible. Hopefully this will speed someone else up and give them a situation where they learn, because efficiency is pretty critical here. It's taking me a long time to do characters, but as you can see, I'm trying to do characters at a very high level. I want my animations to be decent, so it gives me a chance. I mean, I might be completely delusional thinking I'm going to get a chance, but it's a real passion and I absolutely love it. So I've had a lot of bad luck. I'm hoping I do get a chance doing something along these lines, because it's absolutely incredible and it's fascinating me. I'm seeing the character, putting it into a rig now and working out a rig that fits this character, and then seeing your mesh deform smoothly in a blink or a twitch of the nose or the mouth. As you can see, I've done an open mouth. You see a lot of sculptures that I've seen, they don't do mouths, they'll do lips closed, and to take that into animation, you can't open the mouth, you can't do anything, so I always do a mouth bag, and then I've added my teeth. I do separate topology and UVs for the teeth and tongue. I want it to speak and move, and then of course I followed topology around the mouth, smooth rings around the mouth and around the nose. You can see here, I've just done it there. Around the eyes, smooth rings. Haven't got the lowest level, you can't see it the best there, and it's also at subdivision 5. But you get the idea, and that's where I've just done the display properties. I'm just adjusting there, the transparency, that's like that reflective map. And now you can see it appears like a clear scalera. You can see the iris underneath, whereas the other one's still solid. So that's how you get that reflective map. Again, that was another YouTube video I watched where learning how to get a reflective surface in Zbrush.